But it can't be stuck because it's always in motion. It's
Yep.
just mind that creates an illusion of being stuck.
There you go. There you go. But at the same time, our aware and our unaware informs the motion.
Also,
And
the feelings inform it. And you say you're feeling stuck.
correct, I agree, but I think what gets explained in terms of the laws of, I'll use the word karma. There are other terms that can be used, but I'll use that term. So with the laws of karma, the reason why free will is so important is because we can get to choose what we inform the currents and the molecules of consciousness with.
Mm.
And in that choice, we create our experience. And we in doing that, we inform our own individual karma.
Cause and effect.
Yeah.
Aware, unaware.
Yes.
It's the automatic.
Very much so. Until we become aware of choosing.
Oh, we're going deep today.
Rather than responding. So the choosing versus responding. So it's in the practice of presence. This is what the discussion is so welcome. And it's in importance is awareness, which is the focus of the energy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
to the awareness. And we can add additional energy by grasping, holding on to, attaching, or exploring.
So exploring is choice, grasping is an automatic.
Oh.
And that automatic leads to our reacting. Whereas when we make a choice, we respond. Like for me, that the discernment between responding and reacting, it, it gives me more detail.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're more focused.
Mm.
But you lose some other details then.
You do.
That's right. Hi, Chi.
Hi, G.
Hi, Allison. Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Chi. Welcome to the practice of presence.
Thank you.
Your favorite topic, Chi.
Yeah. Struggling with it. Yeah. Sounds so simple.
I know.
It doesn't make it easy.
No.
Yeah.
But it
You just
can
have to
be.
practice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to stay present when you know, banks and insurance and everybody's
Mm.
breathing at your neck.
The word I will give that chi is pressure.
Pressure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
That's a good choice. That's exactly what it is.
Mhm.
But as much as it is myself who's doing to myself, it's
Yep.
Yeah. All habit.
Ultimately, sorry, Chi.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
Ultimately, it is what we do to ourselves. But in the moment, it's so difficult to discern between what's coming at us and what we're making of it.
Yeah.
Hence the importance of the practice of presence.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Practice of letting go.
Practice of pausing.
Yeah.
There's,
Everything's
there's
a practice.
there's no shortcut.
No.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ultimately, there is no shortcut, but there is essence. And you can work with essence. And to get to essence, that's not a shortcut. That takes time.
Mm.
But once you've gotten to the essence, you can go from one essence to the next.
Yeah.
And that's your
Yeah.
shortcut.
Wow. Yes.
And it's back.
Yay.
Hi, Annette.
Hi there. Yeah, I unexpectedly had to step away. So
Because of
Good to
cold
have you back.
feet.
I know.
She was running around the front yard making snow angels in her chonies.
So,
Visual. You're welcome.
it was a great grounding experience.
Mm.
I would
My
say it
feet are
was a
very
great
present
lift-off
with you.
experience. Sorry, Hans.
My feet are very present with her. They're cold, cold, cold.
So, Annette, you said it was a very grounding experience, and my image was it was a very much a lift-off experience.
Oh, because if it's too cold in the arch of your feet, yes.
Yeah.
Then you start walking on the tippy toes then. So
Yeah.
yeah. I said the snow itself was not cold when you first stepped in it. It was just when I noticed the moisture, the water, that was the cold part.
There's the practice of presence. The
Mm-hmm.
awareness of the contrast, the differences, for Annette, it was this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anyone else has to agree.
Exactly.
A scientist may say, no, it's something else. Great. Let Annette have hers.
What does the scientist know?
And
He wasn't walking barefoot in the snow this morning.
And so that's like what I'm pointing into is the judger that is more our reactive automatic.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is like it is allowing Annette to have her experience is just as valid as the scientist to have theirs.
Mm.
Because they're all reflections of what is.
That's right. It's
Yes.
space.
Wow.
We can see it as space, or we can close it off as it has to be this.
Mhm.
Mine, yours, ours.
Mm.
Mm.
And or but.
Mm.
Positive, negative, neutral.
Present, past, future.
Nothing, something, everything.
Mm.
I'm gonna add one because we
Yes,
have out there, in here, there's
yes,
an in here to the in here.
Mm.
yeah.
Everywhere.
Mhm. And the in here to the in here is the chatter that speaks or whispers that we
Mm.
don't necessarily
Mm.
notice, because the regular in here, we have an experience, or we make a choice, or we have an, let's say an I am, right? I am happy. But it's the chatter in the back. It's like, not happy all the time,
Mm.
only happy when. And that
Mm.
is the chatter. And it's interesting because this morning I woke up with that thought, and I meditated on, what is my chatter?
Mm.
And I was quite surprised what came up. Just digging deeper.
That's a beautiful explanation.
What's
It's very
behind
clear.
that?
Sorry,
Be a,
Hans.
there must be a level even lower than the next level chatter that creates that chatter.
Something.
Yeah. It's energy, and energy doesn't come from nowhere. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So maybe the chatter is just the universe.
The ego's universe.
Yeah. Ooh. Lots of universes then. Ego has its own universe.
Sorry, that just came out.
Woo!
Yes, it's like the foundation is in the structure. The
Mhm.
structure is the foundation.
Mm.
And so in here and in here, we can say, is what I heard, is that the in here can be the ego chatter, the thinking mind. And then we also have the in here is the essence.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
more, it's like the 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 passion, power, like this purpose, like
Mm.
that's more of a pull. It's a
Exactly.
pull. And that passion, purpose, peace, power, like though they don't really have words to them that I find. The mind, the ego mind, is what we can use to put words to it if that ego mind is calm and present.
Mm.
Otherwise, that chatter will just be in loops from its past.
Yes. because that's what I found I did. I was just very calm and just kind of sat there in a nothing space,
Mm.
Yes.
and then asked, okay, what is there? Like, what are you trying to say?
Mm.
Yes.
Tell
Oh,
me what I should hear. Right?
yes.
And then I just sat there. And then it was like these little messages started coming. And it's like, wow. And when I think about it in the big picture scheme, it's like, yeah, this tiny little voice is what's actually controlling all this other stuff.
I know. That's so interesting, Annette.
Yeah.
The power that
Filtering.
it has.
Hmm.
Filtering. Filtering is a great word for it. It's
Mm.
filtering.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
What a powerful practice of presence.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the silence. In the practice of the silence. And observing in the practice of silence.
So I used the word power just now within its description, and it's not that there's a difference between power and dominance. And for me, our chatter dominates.
Yes. Doesn't mean it's powerful.
Exactly. And to get to that point, to realize that point is a real breakthrough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the power of that for me is being more present at a level that I hadn't really experienced before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But your presence is not your chatter.
No, but I was present to observe it,
Yes.
very present for that. And it was
Yes.
not forced. That was the beauty of it. I asked the questions and just waited.
Yeah. And in doing that, by observing it, you already dampened its dominance.
Mm-hmm. Because it revealed its secrets.
Yeah.
Some of them, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the quiet essence. It's the quiet power that's in there. It's the message that's trying to get through. We've just put different filters on it in the chatter ego mind that doesn't allow the real message through.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting to me. This happens often in the group. So Annette woke up and she was doing her process. And in our silence together, I did mine. And we we took we experienced different routes to it. But in essence, it was an untangling for both of us.
And the words like that we'll use here is a breakthrough.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna put time in here because I was like, oh, celebrate, Annette, that your answer came in a shorter period of time.
Mm.
Other answers may take longer, and it's sitting with that It's being okay with the longer. So that's trusting or having faith that the answer will reveal itself in the right time.
Mm. Mm.
And what also happens is there is a reduction in charge.
Yeah.
Totally. That's the untangling.
Yeah. A charge that one didn't realize was there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the unaware of it.
The thing is, it was so easy to do,
Yes.
but now I've tapped into it. It's like, oh, I want to do it again.
Yep. That momentum. That is momentum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Annette, you say that it was so easy to do, and I completely accept that. And I just want to remind everybody that you have been practicing this before, right?
It's like it's easy to do, but it's difficult to figure out how to get started.
That's right. And the only way that we can figure that out is by engaging with the practice.
Yes.
And you've been doing that diligently.
For years now. Yes, for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Different aspects for a couple of years. Yes. And then you build on it.
Yeah. You think about how many days you have now of lenses.
Mm-hmm. Several books.
Yes, I was going to say.
Hey, do you know the day number?
No, I stopped counting. I stopped writing it down. Yeah.
You got a year number.
Yes. It was a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Or 3 years.
I was
Yeah,
just
that's
going to
what
say, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's important. Now here, like what we're speaking about in that is, um, I, for me, the signal is if someone can be comfortable in silence. That to me is the measure of the practice of presence. It's not absolute, right? It's not a for all everything, but it's if you haven't practiced silence, you're telling yourself there's nothing in it. And people will say, "Oh, I've practiced silence." Like you could say a meditation is a version of silence. It is, but it's alone. And my powerful practice of presence came when I engaged with each of you in conversations to practice silence. Again, years. Not where I want to be. It can get better, yes. But I'm more prepared when those pressure situations pop up. As society, like we say that there's no value, there's no importance in the silence when we come together. I completely disagree, but before the experience of it, I would say that was my saying. I couldn't be with groups of people and just sit in silence, right? Yes, I'm like there's meditations for that, but a deeper level was to hold the presence, even during arguments. That's the purpose of it, meditation. Good morning, Sindrell, and welcome to Practice of Presence.
Morning, Sindrell.
Morning, Sindrell.
Good morning,
Morning.
beautiful souls.
And it all changed for me when we started doing this. Because it was my frustration, right, with my what I would call my meditation. And I, like you, Annette, sat in that moment, like that question, what is this frustration? Why am I frustrated? And the answer I got is, you're doing it alone. It doesn't tell me what to do. It doesn't show me. It just says, like, that's it. And then it's like, all right, well, what action do I take about that? What's obvious about that? It says, gather up some people. To do what? Crickets. But the answers reveal themselves. No way would I have thought that I'd have got this much out of it. Couldn't have even in my wildest imagination.
I think it's that way with almost every creation. I don't think the first one to create a car could imagine everyone driving one.
No. And because it was a horseless buggy. That's what I'm talking about, that pole, right? There's that pole to it. We don't know where that pole is going to take us. All we can do is surrender and follow and lead and go and engage and experience.
I'm finding it a little ironic, but joyfully so, and not surprised that for you it was being able to be in silence with others. And that has been able to grow for you. And for me, I have been silent so long that it was a place for me to hear my heart and voice it. And so if you had sent out a major invitation and said, come to the silent party, I would have never, or maybe I would have never, by the words, I may not have picked it up, but by the energy and the intention, it was the perfect place for me to be.
Mm.
It's like here's it's like, yeah, come pay to play in silence. That's an automatic loser marketing campaign.
I don't know. You may have really caught some really, unique people who got it.
Without a doubt, maybe.
Isn't that why monks go to the seminary and sit in silence to learn?
And it's all just to let go of what's in my way.
Mm.
And to see what is in there, in here, what is really in here. That's what it is to see what is in here. So that's in mine. And I know that you have yours.
Mm.
It is so a practice of being. So there's a being. We are human beings. So the practice being human is presence. It is all we have. It is all that's there. Which makes it the very first, always there point in a structure.
Mm.
For me, being alone sometimes can be challenging, but it's not the worst. It's the sense of not having connection, that is the worst.
Mm. Yeah.
Whether
Being
with
alone with
yourself
people.
or the surrounding.
So, Chi, that was one of the things that came up this morning was
Mm,
about connection. And
Mm.
mm,
for me, what the chatter revealed was that I was chasing connection.
mm,
Mm.
Mm.
And what, and in another connection, I chose to walk away from. It's being perceived as giving space. But what I've actually done, and this is what the chatter revealed, is I've gone a different direction of my own path. There's no chasing that connection anymore. And
Mm.
if that connection chooses to reach out, that they're going to have to um, join me on my path because I'm not going to turn around and chase.
Mm.
mm,
Mm.
And so the chatter was it's you have an automatic that when somebody reaches out, you instantly go chase,
Mm.
fix, chase, try to be better. I'm good. You know, hey, I'm worthy.
Mm.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Anyway, so that's for me. So that's where that chatter thing kind of unraveled some of that stuff. It's like, holy smokes, I didn't realize it was at this depth.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And the fears that come out that automatic of chasing.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because what it also did, it made me open up to view, is anybody chasing me for connection?
Mm.
Just to observe
Oh,
that.
thank you, Annette. Yeah.
Anyways, that's just a different perspective on
Yeah,
that one.
that was good. That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, that
I
was
can see where
good.
my patterns is from. When you're left alone, you know, as a child, you know, with nobody to look after and take care of you. And
Yeah.
so it become my pattern, you just constantly chasing, and then I end up chasing everything.
But I'll call it abandoned, the abandoned.
Mm.
Like that's the energy of it. It's like the abandonment. And that is one of our greatest fears
Mm.
is being alone and being abandoned. So
Yeah.
we'll do everything we can to not be there again. But it's through it, like seeing it, experiencing it, allowing it as it's part of it, is where we let go. And that takes time because, boy, that is a very, well, it's like, aren't they all dramatic, just different flavors?
Yeah.
So I want to appreciate each of you building your conductor skills. Conductor of your energy, conductor with other people's energies. You know, it's conducting your choices.
Oh, I love it.
So I'll share with people that have come in a bit later than the beginning of the group. The experience that I had in the healing group that you put together, Central, what it did for me was it gave me the fuel to experience a breakthrough that I had this morning that I could share in the silence.
Mhm.
And I wanted to share that because after we did it, we talked about how we look for evidence with things like that. And we
Mhm.
might never see the evidence. And we don't see the evidence because we look for a specific thing.
Mhm.
The evidence is actually there, but it's where our focus goes. And our focus often gets determined by our expectation. And so if we can avoid that and we do what Annette could do in her practicing of presence, then we open the doors for our observer to observe almost anything. Sorry.
So interesting, Allison. It was like at the end of the silence, it was like there was a thought I had that I didn't ask, but the thought was, huh. It was like, Allison, how was that healing? Like that 1 minute, that 1 minute healing session. It's like, was there anything there? And it's like, no, I'm just gonna let it be. So it wasn't like, so I didn't ask it, even though the focus popped in for me. So it's not like always doing it or not. It's just the awareness of it.
And that's the power of awareness. Like if we're in conversation with somebody who is stuck and the timing of what we see is not going to be helpful to share, or let me put it this way, to share what we see is not going to be helpful at that point in time. But the fact that we've got that awareness, and when we hold that energy connects. It connects. Our energies connect.
Yes.
And so at the most subtle form, we give the opportunity to bring awareness for the other person to that.
We can connect without speaking.
Yes.
That will go over most people's head, because the most important thing people can do is speak.
Yeah.
So we think.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a shortcut. It's just a communication. The speaking just gives the proof or the validation, right, that we think we need.
Yeah.
So I've been dwelling in this thing of praying without wrath and doubting. And the quietness, or the honor of not asking the question while the question was there, it speaks to me not opening up any road for wrath and doubting, just trusting and letting the healing and the silence and the time do its intention to do. We've already put the envelope in the mail. And we're trusting that the postal system, the energy system, will deliver exactly the intent of what was sent. And so in the course, even when we stopped after the minute, it was already released. It was already out there. It already had its direction. And it was kind of like cool to participate in not needing an answer in this fourth dimensional realm. We already knew the answer. And letting space and time do its thing and not interrupting it. Yeah, the ego mind wants, oh, I feel super right now. I got I got the Holy Spirit because you all, you know. Yeah, but it's like you don't want to cheapen the magic happening because it's not done yet. The cake is in the oven. It's coming out perfectly fine. We don't have to open the oven with questions at the time. But ooh, it goes around the universe and you get a slice. We all get a slice of that cake.
It's such a great analogy. Because what happens when you open the door?
Yeah. Pause. Like, stop jacking up my momentum. Be quiet. Has anyone ever seen this movie? I think it might have been called The Red Balloon.
Yes.
Do you know that movie?
The title is very familiar to me. Let's go and look it up, Central. Let me see if I can do it while we're talking.
Yeah, before there was Google, that just this couple of scenes of that movie would visit me and give me joy. But I could never find the movie again. And that was before there was Google. It just, here it is, a 1956 film. Yes. The Red Balloon. What is it on? It's 34 minutes, not rated. It's on Max.
So is the balloon red or is it black and white?
I'm gonna watch this today.
Yeah.
There must be something there for me to watch.
What I get from what is there, then I think you spoke to it, was, experiences of joy. And I'll post in the heart-centered group a clip, one of the shorts on YouTube of this guy called Joel Collier, and he's a conductor, and he conducts large audiences with singing. And sometimes he has a lead singer, and one of them that he had was the guy from Coldplay. But watching those shorts it brought such a burst of absolute joy for me. And part of the joy was watching one person express their talent and their skill, and sharing that experience with the audience in a way that they then became part of his experience, or they become part of his experience. So he couldn't, it was just more evident for me that he couldn't have his experience without the audience, and the audience couldn't have their experience without him. So it was, for me, it was a demonstration of the power of together, the power of connection, the power of collaboration, and the expansion that that can bring. So it was an example of what Jesse was talking about in a different form. Not so different, but apparently different.
Conducting passion,
Mm-hmm.
conducting purpose, conducting power, conducting peace,
Mm-hmm.
presence, patience,
Yeah.
all the P words that I want to put into it.
Yeah.
They're all positive energies. But really, they're neutral. We've just attached positive or negative to them.
Exactly.
This has been wonderful this morning, but I have to pop off.
Thank you
Thank you.
for
Yep.
being with us
A
and
blessed day,
sharing.
Annette.
Yep.
Have a
Bye-bye.
have a
Thank you
wonderful
for sharing.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
As you were mentioning all of the P words, I wanted to say cause. And I was like, Central, that's not a P word. Then I went to cause, being at cause is like that sharing. And right before that, I was like thinking of the conductor, including the audience, and how expansive that gave space for all of these synergistic energies to like come together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought of the artist who gets on stage and performs, especially that first time, and they feel that oh, I love this, I love giving, and I love feeling, and I love, to get on that stage. Is not just the point where they stand, but it's the stage. And then it's not just the stage, it's all of the spaces of the whole auditorium. And it's not the space of the whole auditorium that gives the space, it's the space of all of those hearts and those minds, just like, ooh, they're having that unified experience, and each experience is individually and shared. And then I was thinking of a braid. I saw a woman talking about, and this was in a clip of a movie, of a little girl who wore braided hair all the time, who she adopted. She says, well, do you want a different hairstyle? And she was like, yes. And she says, okay, we'll settle in, because she had to unbraid the hair. And then my mind went to a YouTube clip where this lady showed how to undo braids in such a way that it was with ease and flow. And it just quickens the whole unbraiding process. And how this woman on the YouTube showed where to initiate to unraveling the braid, not from the bottom, but from the top. And you give it space, and you take in the ease, and you invite the ease of space in the top of the braid of the hair near the scalp. And to me, that's what sharing space is the ease and flow. And where you got knocks and tightness, it's just putting some joy and energy there and some neutral there. And we have space and we have experience. And your word, expansion, Allison. Expansion.
Mm. What a great analogy.
It's the space.
Mm.
And that to me is of the presence, like the importance, the usefulness, the value of presence is creating this space.
Mm. Yeah.
To be aware that there is space.
Mm.
Space between what is and what is.
Yeah. And welcome the expansion of that, eh?
Mm.
So for sake of argument, if you're in an argument and you get silent to feel what you feel, to hear what you hear, to acknowledge what you know, and acknowledge space for what maybe you don't know, to just consider that you're not considering another point of view, to consider not defending what you know and what you don't know, and what you feel and what you don't feel. I see the invitation coming, initiated by Jesse not wanting to just sit in that silence of becoming aware, and yet still giving space to every space of awareness and inviting us in.
Mm.
At the expense of maybe being triggered and the very thing of the argument, being triggered, but being silent and taking triggers and letting the rage of the waves just sit at the ocean, sit at the shore, and let nature be nature and feel what you feel and what others express they do and the impact of it. And just feel the impact, not naming it, just feeling it. And then the waves subside and subdue. and being okay with wobbling and being off balance. And not one point of view do we ensue, but to acknowledge the space of expansion that's between me and you, and who, and who, and you.
Fascinating that there's at least two parties in an argument. And if both parties could do that, arguments wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That is through it. That is how you move through arguments. It's not by winning.
Yeah, and it's not only that the arguments wouldn't exist, but they'd be replaced by so much creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all the arguments are trying to tell us, yet we'll stay in the argument because we're judging, blaming, or proving our point of view and not creating space for another.
Yeah.
So I have a girlfriend that I recently took a trip with. And before we left, like, we had not been around each other for that length of time in like 100 years. So she made the comment, well, we're going to find out if we're friends now. So I was like, yeah. And at the end of the trip, some things had happened. Like, the trip coming home just was not good, but it wasn't bad either. And when we reached the final destination where we were departing one another, I know she was practicing tolerance of me being me, and she knew I was practicing tolerance of her being her. And before we left each other, you know, I made a comment in reference to the energy that came out near the end of the trip. And she says, and it was my observation of how I felt about her. And she said, me too.
What a delightful moment.
And we laughed. We laughed, right? And
We both reached enlightenment.
yeah. And I called her yesterday and I told her, she says, what's up? What do you want? You know, we're good and everything. And she, you know, I said, I just called you to tell you I really appreciate how our friendship has elevated and matured with our grown selves. I appreciate you. She was like, you do? Is that your way of saying you love me? I said, we ain't going there right now. I just want to stay in appreciation. Leave me alone. Goodbye. So arguments give space, you know. They do. Sometimes people shut down, but when it's in love, you know, when the differences are still expressed in love, that's unconditional love may be experienced there, but the arguments, the contrast really offers expansion in space.
Mm. Mm.
And it's like lovers who have like this blow up argument and then they come together and make passionate love, you know? It's more expansion, more space. When the intentions of the participants are
Mm.
in alignment.
Mm.
When dominance isn't there.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly it. I'm trying to express myself. I'm not trying to dominate you.
Mm.
And I value that you're not trying to dominate me. But hear me. Please hear me.
Yeah. Such a different energy, right?
Mm-hmm. So I couldn't sleep last night and I was like, wow, like all my wires are like firing. And I've been challenged to sit in something. People tell their stories, like the hero's journey and all of that. And people give testimonies, like I hadn't heard from a friend of mine in like months. And then she came back with like this powerful testimony. And I was like, it's a different perspective to tell the story of how you overcame. And I was like, but I want to get into the story of overcoming the test of the heart, the test of the courage, the test of the wit, the test of the doubt, the test of holding on and falling at the same time. And I was striving to capture that in a visual as well as in words. So I just like put everything down on paper, however it came out. And I feel like that is the story, because when you're sitting there listening to someone's hero story and you're sitting in pain, you're sitting in not knowing, you're sitting at that cliff of not knowing if the rocks are going to break away underneath your feet, because they have before. And they could again, or they could not again. But you don't see a pathway or a direction. And you just don't know anything or what. And you're holding your breath on life and trying to find a breath of air. those are the areas that I want to get into telling. So it's not just the end of the story where the person sits and listens and has hope because someone else would affirm to themselves that they're going to make it because they heard somebody give a good affirmation or ending story. But when it's you grappling for hope, for faith, for success, for succession, for something that establishes you, with your purpose, and finding nothing, how do you go on from day to day, knowing that you're lost in plain sight with all kind of signs around you, but yet lost? For something to go right, for something to work, for something to be established, for God to reach into the aspects of your life and show up where good fortune comes. And it doesn't come. I think that story needs to be shared as well, that part of the story. How do you go on with no go on to go?
Look for where they are. Easier said than done.
Yes.
It's like, what is and what is? Is there space between the two?
Mm.
It's that wiggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keep on looking for where you can find the tiniest gap.
Mm-hmm.
And then you lever that gap, right? If you've got the awareness to see it, to spot it, and allow it, and accept its gift. I mean, for me, I think, and I think a lot of people choose suicide
Yes.
at that point, right? That there's no gap. They can't see it, even though it's there. And there are many situations that lead to us not being able to see that. It's not the only reason why people suicide, but I think it's a large part of us doing, taking that step And then, of course, there's the small suicidal steps that we take every day when we don't honor and serve what we have, what we are. I'm taking that analogy from a funeral that I attended when I was quite young. One of our fellow students had taken their life, and the person that led the ceremonies right off the bat, because there's a lot of stigma around suicide, right? And right off the bat, he said, I want you all to listen to this very carefully. This step was taken in a way that is shocking to us. But we take small steps of this every single day in our life when we don't honor and take care of our lives.
Thank you. And that's what I've been grappling with, is the avoidance of suicide. But there's a lot of torment, I think, before the space of turning towards suicide is an option, and then the dance with it as an option.
Mm.
And right before that option is exercise with the torment.
Mm.
And if people knew how to find space, maybe more people would choose the space when they could know that it's a journey thing. It's a route that they take. There are options.
Mm. 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 And that being stuck is part of our journey.
Mm-hmm. And it's learning how to create our own space, and with others, or maybe not with others, and honoring it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you use space when you're strangled?
Mm. Exactly, Sandra.
And so the person on stage telling the testimony hero story, and the person in the audience feeling no space.
Mm.
How do you tell them about the no space? But in no space, there's always, no matter what it feels like, there's always space.
Mm.
Even when it doesn't feel like it. What heart and courage it takes to go through the periods of no space, to not find choice in any choice.
And that's when I keep coming back to Jesse, creating something out of nothing. Silence.
Exactly. And allowing everything. Right?
Mhm. So I'm gonna.
And okay with nothing.
Mhm.
Yes. Because in nothing is everything. That's why emptiness is so important. In emptiness, we facilitate fulfillment. Sorry, Cinderella, I think I cut you off.
No, you're terrific. I'm just laughing at myself. I came to a conclusion in my not sleeping last night that I've been playing around with taking a position, an employment position that came to my attention. And I missed the window, and it was a level 1 and a level 2. And it's something kind of out of my realm, but it was something about it that intrigued me just the same. That's why I delayed like applying myself to it, and for a whole lot of other reasons. But then I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and apply, and it was gone. It was gone. I said, well, that's that. It was no longer posted, but the level 2 was there. So last night I decided just to play out in the universe, to apply for the number 2, put the keywords of the number 2 in my application for the number 1, and this they just might, they'll say, well, she don't qualify for this job, but let's consider her for the other one. And it's, and it was letting go. It was like not like I just okay with it either way. And now to be able to play with it, it gives it so much room. Like I'm not counting on it. But
Yes.
it's playing out there in the field. Say, hey, you don't belong at this stage level. I'm like, yeah, but I'm here. What you gonna do with me? Let's do something. Well, we like your spunk. Yeah, I'm in your face now. What you gonna do with me? Let's do some things.
Cinderella, you remind me of something that happened during last week. An ex-client who's become a single mom texted me to say, she was really anxious about going to government services the next day because, for a whole lot of reasons, one being the last appointment that she had, they were going to cut off their supply to her. And so I wrote back to her and I said to her, do you remember what you did the last time? That you went. And what she had done was, for a few evenings before, she had visualized things going unexpectedly well. And so she's been 5 times. So last time was, well, this coming time will be the 4th time. This coming time will be the 5th. Last time is the 4th. But she had done this for number 1, 2, and 3. And so 4, it didn't work. So she texts back and says, I do remember. And now I remember that perhaps I haven't been doing it because it didn't work. But it did work for the first 3 times. So I wrote back to her, I said to her, bingo. And she did it. And lo and behold, the unexpected happened. Even though it had kind of been officially put in the document that her supply was to be terminated, and she was ostensibly just going back to get the date, she got another officer. And they looked at her full file and said, no, we can still do something here. You've got until April, I think.
Yeah, just anxiousness can really cut off our flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was reading, was it Florence Shin? The Game of Life and How to Play It. And I was like, this is so solid.
Yes.
Knowledge and so simple.
Yeah.
I've been a part of various MLMs, and you get these speakers and they get you all hyped up and da da da. I mean, I just love the magic of those arenas. And but it's gotta you can't just get up and then when you don't know the power of the science behind it, and that you are actually the science of it. And so when I was reading her work, I was like, I've heard this before. I know this. Oh, I've lived this. Oh, I've experienced this. But I have not employed this in the continuum of my existence. Like I haven't thought in that way, availed myself to that on a continuum. And because of that exposure, I just felt okay to play with this work application, to play in that field of every demand has a supply already present.
And the playing is a practicing of it, right?
Yeah. And unattached from the
That's
outside.
right. And even though, how can I say this? Usually because of expectations, we shorten the time that creation can take place in, not realizing that, sometimes it can take a year more. But in the meantime, there are other creations that come along the way, which actually prepare us for what we were aiming for in the first place.
Yeah.
Her writing is it's so sublime. I love her work. She wrote another book, Sandrell, called Your Word is Your Wand. I'm sure you can find that for free online as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm going to extract some of what
I'm going to extract what spoke to me out of what I read and play with that.
Mm.
Because when I was talking about being in the valley, I'm looking to, because when you're in the valley, sometimes you're just not creating, you're not thinking of telling the story when you're trying to get through the story, when you're living through the story. All you know is, my situation, woe is me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm capturing glimpses of hanging on those cliffs and the power that comes to lift you. That's something within. And to capture that spirit that moves you. To the next unknown, undefined, unpresented opportunity. And it comes from within.
Yes.
Oh man, I just got it. It's getting to the within.
There you go. What was Annette's terminology this morning? Were you here when she spoke about the inside of the inside?
I don't think I caught that. I must have come later. Getting to the inside of the inside.
Yeah, her words were a little bit different, but that was basically what she was alluding to. And do you remember you wanted to use because? The cause is always inside. The fire, right? The first spark is inside. It's the impetus that we have. And that's the essence that then brings about the momentum. And that essence is that small gap. Or it lies in the small gap, put it that way. That's where you'll find it. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I've had a substantial lift-off experience this morning.
Yes, it's been extensive. Thank you.
Thank you too, Sindral.
Yeah, you all have a beautiful day.
Yes, you too, Heinz.
Thank you, Heinz.
Love and hugs. Bye-bye.
Love and hugs. Off to see the red balloon.
Yeah.